Daniel Kostick presents Premiership Elections in Albertan History. This election took place on August 8, 1944, and was the 10th election in the province's history. It would come 2 months after the D-Day landings in Normandy. Premier William Aberhart, having been re-elected to a second term, continued to see the same problems as his first term. His personal approval ratings were declining, and the Social Credit Board had become merely a propaganda machine. While successful in distribution of leaflets across the province, during the early 40s, the board would become increasingly anti-Semitic under the guidance of L.D. Byrne. This would tie into the Douglasite hatred of bankers, and its report in 1943 would allege that a plot worldwide in scope, deliberately engineered by a small number of ruthless international financiers, was in the works. Most of these financiers were Jewish. In May 1943, Aberhart would travel to Vancouver to visit his daughters. During the trip, Premier William Aberhart would die suddenly at the age of 64. His death would mark the beginning of the end for the Puritan beliefs of social credit within the party. Following the death of Aberhart, Ernest Manning, Minister of Trade and Industry and the MLA for Edmonton, would take over as party leader. Many saw Manning's rise as inevitable, since he had been a close ally of Aberhart from before the latter became premier. Manning was the youngest serving cabinet minister in the British Commonwealth since William Pitt the Younger, 152 years prior. Despite being a loyal supporter of Aberhart, Manning had grown disillusioned with the social credit ideology. He was more of a pragmatist and respected the jurisdiction set by the British North America Act while continuing to follow through with Aberhart's promise of prosperity certificates, expanding the program so that more Albertans qualified for them. Early in his premiership, Manning laid the foundation for the party to move away from social credit theories and began to slowly purge Douglasite loyalists from positions of influence and power. In 1944, James Walker, the MLA for Warner, would be elected as the first official leader of the independent movement over David Elton, future candidate for Lethbridge. The already strained coalition of Conservatives, Liberals, and moderate UFA members was pushed to a breaking point. The Liberals backed out of the coalition in February of 1944, leaving the party fractured from within and breaking public confidence in the group. Despite the party convention having considerable interest, without the support of one of its major partners, the group struggled to move forward. Despite the Liberals pulling support from the independent movement, they would not run any candidates under their own banner. Former Conservative Party leader David Dugan had died in 1942, and the party supporters had found it difficult to operate without him. Still, the Conservatives would commit support and resources to the independent movement. With the actions taken by Manning to cleanse the Douglasites from the government and the continuing rise of the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation, the days of a popular Labour Party were officially over. Following the example set by party brass in 1940, the Labour Party merged with the CCF in 1942, bringing an end to the party as it once was. Not all Labour members were happy with this move, however, and Enoch Williams would lead his own movement called Labour United as a protest to the merger. The CCF would continue to rise in popularity after the merger with the Labour Party. Shortly after the merger, the party would win a by-election and see Elmer Roper, a perennial candidate and former Secretary-Treasurer of the Alberta Federation of Labour, elected to Dugan's seat in Edmonton. Chester Ronning would resign as leader of the CCF shortly after this win, allowing Roper to become the new permanent leader. This was the first election that Roper had contested at the provincial level, in which he would be the winner, having briefly served as a school trustee during the mid-1920s and third time that he would run under the CCF banner. This election would see the first time that a single-issue party would run in Alberta. The Veterans and Active Force Party was founded by World War II veteran William Williams and ran on a platform promoting benefits for servicemen who were returning from the war. Due to the federal government enacting the War Measures Act, the Communist Party was banned nationwide. With the signing of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact in 1939, the party had been outspoken against the war effort, which led to it being banned. Many of its leaders were placed in internment camps, and the remnants organized into either the Progressive Unity or Labour Progressive parties. These groups would serve as the legal front for the Communist Party. James McPherson would lead the Alberta wing of the LP, and the party would see a rise in support after the election of Fred Rose to Parliament in 1943. Similarly to 1917, this election would make provisions for soldiers serving overseas to vote for their own representatives. While the 1917 election saw 2 MLAs elected from a wide pool of candidates, this time there would be 3 MLAs elected, one representing each branch of the armed forces. 32 candidates would run across the Army, Navy, and Air Force, with some standouts being Sapper and former MP for Red Deer Eric Poole and Captain James Prose in the Army, Wing Commander Frederick Colburn and Sergeant Frank Appleby in the Air Force, and Chief Petty Officer Loftus Ward in the Navy. During the campaign, social credit benefited from a desire to keep the CCF out of power. The independent movement was struggling to maintain appeal after the death of Aberhart, and many of its former supporters moved to support Manning. Manning. With the Liberals now out of the coalition, the movement was unable to run a full slate of candidates, further tearing down its credibility. The CCF were moved in momentum by the recent victory of the party in the neighboring province of Saskatchewan. And here are the results. Ernest Manning won, securing 51 out of a possible 60 seats while securing 50.5% of the popular vote, up 17 seats and 7.6% from 1940. Next came James Walker, whose independent movement won 3 seats and 16.3% of the popular vote, down 16 seats and 26.2% since 1940. Next came Elmer Roper, whose CCF won 2 seats and 24.2% of the popular vote, up 2 seats and 13.1% since 1940. Next came William Williams, whose Veterans and Active Force Party won 1 seat and 1.2% of the popular vote. Next came James McPherson, whose Labour Progressives won 0 seats and 4.14% of the popular vote, staying even in seats and up 3.79% from 1940. Finally came Enoch Williams, whose Labour United Party won 0 seats and 0.62% of the popular vote, down 1 seat and 0.48% since 1940. This election would see social credit sweep rural Alberta and opposition MLAs kept within Calgary and Edmonton. While these districts would use the alternative voting system, the end result would have been the same as if first past the post was in use. The near 30% combined votes of the CCF and the LP was contributed in part due to the rise of wartime anti-fascist sentiment in the province. William Williams placed 4th in the Edmonton race, as nearly all of the veterans returning from the war marked him down as either their first choice or second choice after marking social credit as their first. This made Williams the first candidate in Alberta to be elected from a single-issue party. Opposition parties declared defeat within a half hour of polls closing. I'll see you in the next one.